Hey everybody, so this is day 5, and right now I am at a gospel mission here in Medford, Oregon. They're holding service right now inside, so what happens is they lock up the door at a certain time. If you don't make the cut, if you're not signed up by then, you're locked out for at least an hour. So I think what happens, I'm not sure, just talking to a couple guys that were here earlier, they're going to reopen the door like around 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock. I don't know. But they reopen it once, and then I think they open it at 8, and then they lock it back up at 9. So if you're not here by that time, that hard time, you're locked out for the night. I guess they have different faiths come in here, every night of the week at 7 o'clock. So right now that's where we're at. They're in there doing their thing. So let me collect my thoughts here. This is day 5. Don't know if I said that. Last night, I got to give a special shout out for last night to a friend, Holly. She actually let me stay at her house, and this morning she gave me a Dutch Brothers card, like $20 worth or something. And so I was ecstatic. I didn't realize it. I'm ashamed to say this on camera especially, but it had been a couple days since I bathed decently, and man, my clothes, they smelled bad. I didn't realize it until after I got out of the shower. It was all soapy smelly and stuff, And I smelled those things, and I was like, ooh, man, you reek. And I don't know, just being in and out of camp areas and stuff is just kind of nasty, It's, I don't know, and it's cold weather, so all the smells linger. They all hang out. So anyway, let me get to the actual update right now. During my last video, and they got out of sequence for that, I apologize, but during my last video, I was saying how if you put me in a completely upside down situation, if I had to walk away from my life and rebuild all over again, that I could. And it's because my habits and my patterns have been established, and they work. They're principles that are built on solid foundations. They work if you apply them. Thinking over my past few days here in doing this project, I've come to realize that, well, a couple things. I've come to realize a lot, but a couple things really stand out for me. And that is, some of the stuff that's going on out here is due to broken principles. And it's just a repeated cycle. And if it's like the blind leading the blind. If it's broken, it's broken, right? It needs fixed. And so I don't know how to really put this into words right offhand, but so many people are under the impression that, these homeless people, they don't want to work, and, they don't want to live by anybody else's standards and stuff. And you know what? Sometimes that may be true. But let me tell you let me try to open your mind for a minute and suggest, if I can, a different side. Consider what they have to do to live. Panhandle, running around through the parking lots all day begging for money. Going to the plasma bank like I just did, to make a little bit of money. Getting around in the cold weather like this. Talking to people, trying to make friends so they're, not taken advantage of when they're out in the streets. Just think about all the things that they have to deal with. In and out of jail, it's a really crazy lifestyle. Now here's the twist. Here's the flip side to this. They're working every day. Working to make a little bit of money, right? Even if they have habits, alcoholism or drug abuse or any of that stuff, you have to support those habits. And to do that means you have to hustle some kind of way, right? Consider this. How good do you think the guy that cruises the parking lot, hustling, you know, a few dollars here and there with whatever story he uses, right? How good do you think he would be at salesman positions, right? The guys that have to come out here and, you know, not everybody's a tough son of a buck out here. You know, some of these guys are just doing their best just to make it by, and they gotta have friends out here, otherwise they get taken advantage of pretty decently. You know, it's not a game, it's not a joke. Those guys that are able to make those friends, consider how good they would be matched up in a position of marketing, you know, network marketing, where they have to make friends. Think about that for a moment. Now, after you thought about that, let's go back to the problem. Let's think they don't want to work, but they are working, right? So maybe the problem isn't that they don't want to work. What am I trying to get at? I'm trying to get at the habit. The habits themselves are broken. So if we put people that want to make the change into different habits and show them, use their natural talent, something that they've been using for years in order to sustain life out here on these streets, if we put them into those types of fields, I don't know. Think it'll work? I mean, think it's got a shot? Maybe they're not good at this or that or whatever. But just think about what they are good at. You know? How they have been living. Those are the thoughts that's been kind of cruising through my mind over the past couple days. These guys have survival skills. They have life skills. Some of the habits are broken. Correct those habits, and you might just correct whole bunches of the problem, you know? Okay, so with that said, I don't want this to get too long. It's already at 7.5 minutes. I want to read you a script out of the book, The Pathfinder, that I've been reading. For those of you who don't know, I wanted to do, you know, I want to take it upon myself to learn all I can along the way. I got to set you down for a minute so I can get in a position that I can read this book to you. So I apologize, this video is going to go a little bit more in length than I wanted it to. But let me just read this to you and try to, you know, try to link it to what I just said. Kind of blew my mind today when I came across it. And it's not very good lighting out here. I'm going to give it a shot. The formation of habits. It's crazy. It's in the book, right? If you were one of Mother Nature's engineers charged with improving the design of mammal survival devices, you would try to find some way that the animal could come face to face with recurring threats and deal with them successfully without getting too upset that it was incapacitated. That's exactly what nature did. After the mammal has repeated something a few times, it becomes a habit. A habit is an automated reaction designed to keep you at equilibrium while at the same time successfully dealing with a threat. Habits get the job done without all the upset. Horses take the path uphill time after time. They're talking about a horse takes a path of kind of like least resistance time after time. They referred to that earlier in the book, so that's what they're talking about. Horses take the path uphill time after time. They are creatures of habit, predictable. Much of what you and I do comes from this mammal part of our human brains. We too are creatures of habit. The first time I drove a car on a narrow 2-lane road, the cars whizzing by in the other direction seemed like a huge threat to my survival. Every ounce of my attention was centered on them. After a few days' experience, I paid no conscious attention to them. Once anything has become a habit, we don't have to pay attention to it anymore. The rub with this elegant piece of survival machinery is that, generally speaking, Our lives are governed by habits. That's pretty powerful. When we are aware that our lives are controlled by pre-programmed software, it becomes possible to captain our own ship and steer it to a destination we choose. How powerful is that? I mean, shut the computer off. Think about that for a moment. Forget what I'm doing. Think about that for your own life. Think about your habits. I mean, we all want things in our lives, right? We all want to go someplace. We all want to do something. And, you know, us out here, we're not the only ones with broken habits. So, you know, these are just things I'm noticing along the way. And paying attention to what that book's been saying has really opened my eyes to a couple different things. And, you know, I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty happy where I'm at right now in this process. If you didn't get the gist of it from my Facebook page, if you're just, you know, keeping up with the videos or whatever else, I'm trying to take this in phases, guys. My first phase was to get out in the street without a plan, right? Just hit the streets and figure it out from there. That was my first phase. That was my first plan, was to not have a plan. Just get out there and survive. This is day 5. Phase 1 is done. The reason I came to the shelter tonight is to see what they have to offer, right? I've already been to the Dom out there in White City. I think you've seen the video on that. To see what they have to offer. It's time to get up off my butt, start formulating better habits, and correcting actions, right? You got to correct yourself. If the vehicle starts to swerve, if it starts to slide on the ice, if you start to veer off course, what do? You got to correct the wrong in your life in order to get right. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know how much, you know, this gets thought about in these communities out here. I haven't really touched on that with these guys. To be quite honest with you, I don't have this credibility out here. I don't have the rapport with these guys to even mention that yet. But what I'm thinking is, in order for something to not be broken, you have to fix it. And you're not going to fix it with broken habits. That's the whole gist of this part. So phase 1 was all about broken habits, you know, sleeping on the streets, just doing what you had to do to survive that day, not thinking about the future, just trying to hustle that day to live. Food, gas, a place, you know, if you're renting a room or a mat on the floor or whatever you're doing, that's a habitual thing. You've got to hustle to live out here. But now thinking about tomorrow, it's time to move into phase 2. Get up off your butt. It's time to hustle. It's time to push. Push for something else. Push for something you want. You know what I mean? Phase 2, man. I'm ready. Let's do it. And I'm going to end this. It's 13 minutes long. I'm going to end this. Good night, guys. Have a good one. I'll get back with you in the morning.